Hi guys, Misty here, and welcome to my video. I'm gonna try to do this on this video so that I don't have it backwards, so it's not on a selfie. So if I'm like off the video screen, don't worry. It's really all about what I'm about to teach you and review with you than about me being on the video, okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about, there's a couple of questions that I was asked to elaborate on. But the one thing I want to talk about is the convex and concave rule and the words roll and slide. That tends to really confuse people. And with that said, I'm going to make your life a lot easier. So let me just double check to see. Okay. So what you need to think about is this. Number one is you need to recognize what a concave is and what a convex is, okay? A concave, you hear the word cave, is going to be something that looks like a cave. So it would be something that it's sort of a U shape, right? That it's housing something else. Concave. Convex is going to be the one that has a protruding situation. Okay? So concave on convex means the concave part is moving on the convex part. Convex on concave means the convex part is moving upon the concave part. That's it. Now, with that technique or with that concept comes the names roll and slide. And a lot of people have a problem with it. So I hope to make this really easy for you. Roll is where the bone is going. Okay? Very simply. Slide is actually the joint surface that you will apply the concept of convex on concave or concave on convex. So as an example, if this is the arm, which it is, okay, and it's the left arm, right? Right there. So I'm looking at the head of the humerus as the convex and where it connects on the scapula, the glenoid fossa, as the concave. Now, if you go by the definition that I just gave you, it's very simple. And you should already know at this point, convex and concave, the slide is on the opposite direction. That the bone is moving. So what you're going to do is you're going to call roll what the bone is moving. The bone itself, the shaft, is moving upwards, superiorly. Notice that the slide, the joint surface, is going opposite to where the bone is going. So on a convex and concave, as an example, on the shoulder abduction, the roll is where the bone is going. So the roll is superior, but the slide is in the opposite direction because it's a convex on concave. So the slide is down when the roll is up. So when you hear roll and slide, do this. Roll is the full bone direction. Slide is the joint surface motion. If it's convex on concave is opposite. If it's concave on convex is the same direction. We're going to elaborate on that, but I just wanted you to differentiate roll and slide. All right, guys, so now that I've gone through the roll and slide with you guys, we're going to do a few examples here so that we can move on to other concepts and make sense. Okay, so I brought Sam. Okay, Sam has gone through some really interesting stuff, but we're going to look at some different joints and talk about the roll and the slide. Okay, so the first thing you have to do when you look at a joint, you got to recognize, is this a convex moving on a concave surface, or is it the concave surface moving on the convex surface? And we'll talk about different ones here and we'll look at it. But why is that important is because we need to apply that concept. If it's convex moving on the concave, then the slide inside the joint is in the opposite direction of the roll, which is where the bone is going. So let's see this one first. We talked about glenohumeral joint. glenoid fossa, humeral head. That is a convex and concave. And as you can see, as I am abducting the arm, so when the roll of that is superior, the head, which is the convex surface, is moving inferiorly. Okay? Now I'm going to talk about this real quickly because we will be doing this soon. Is why is that relevant? Well, if you have a patient who is trying to go ahead and lift their arm to scratch their head, but there is a dysfunction on this convex moving on to the concave inferiorly, as you can see, the person will not be able to move the arm. It will get jammed because the head of the humerus, by law of the human body, needs to be moving in the opposite direction because it is a convex and concave. So why is that relevant? Once again, is as a therapist, if I get here and there's no movement, I need to understand that as I could stretch as much as I can, but if there's no pushing and mobilization of this head to move inferiorly, the arm will no longer be able to raise all the way up. The roll will be interrupted. So the arthrokinematics, the movement within the joint, is what allows us to be functional. Now let's move to a different joint. Let me get Sam a little closer. Okay, here's another one. Now the elbow joint, right here. Let's see if I can do it here. Okay, move just a little bit. Now as you can see, the ulna is concave. So the ulna now is the concave. And the capitulum, or this little piece on the humerus, is the convex. So now we're moving concave on the convex. So remember our little rule? Concave and moving on the convex means the bone roll. And the slide, they're all in the same direction. Not opposites, they're going together. So when this is going up, this is also going up. As opposed to convex, because convex, when this is going down, look at my arm. The roll is in the opposite direction. Whereas if it's a concave, when it moves, you notice everything is moving towards the same direction. This is going superiorly, and so is this. So what is the example here? Is the elbow. The concave ulna is moving on the convex capitulum. As you can see, it's a hard C, I agree, but as you can see, it is all going with the roll. The roll is going superiorly in this elbow flexion motion here, and so is the slide. They're both moving in the same direction. So that is a concave and convex, convex and concave. Now let's do another one. The hip. Acetabular femoral joint. The acetabulum is this hole, and the femoral head is a head. Is a protruding part of the bone. So in your head, right away, you should be thinking, oh, this is convex moving on concave. So let's apply our rule. Convex and concave, the roll is opposite direction of the slide that's happening in the joint. So you're rolling, you see? The guy's moving the leg up, and where's the head moving? Down. The roll is up superiorly, the slide is inferiorly. That means what? That they're moving into opposite directions. If you can't quite see it, guess what I'm going to do? Watch this. I'm going to put a little red dot right here. And if you don't agree with me that they're moving in opposite directions, take a look. And this is the shaft, so I'm going to make a line. So that's going to represent the roll, and this is going to represent the slide. Watch. Look. The line is moving up, the dot's moving what? I'm going to do it again because this guy got limited range of motion. Look. They're moving in opposite directions. Awesome. Good job. Now, last one. We're going to talk about the knee. And that actually refers to one of the questions that I was asked to cover. The knee. First thing you have to recognize. Number one, and we're talking about open chain, means the distal portion is moving freely. Let's not talk about closed chain yet, meaning your foot or your hand is stuck somewhere. We're only talking about open chain. So open chain, the foot's freely moving. Here's the foot. And I'm doing a motion, and it's a convex and concave, so it moves in the opposite direction. Now, if I go to the knee, as I was about to do, get out of here, boy. All right. Well, first of all, I have to recognize, what am I looking for? What am I looking at? This is convex, and this is concave. Boom, kill it. It goes in the same direction. You don't see it? Watch. Roll, slide. Let's do bending. So knee flexion. Look, the roll is back, and so is the slide. Look, same direction. They're both moving backwards. And the answer of the question was the roll and slide of the tibia on the open chain knee extension. Look, knee extension, tibia on femur. They're moving in the same direction, which is anteriorly, when you're comparing to the anatomical position. All right, let's move on to the other video. All right, so now what we're going to discuss next is the concept of passive insufficiency. And active insufficiency, we can talk about it as well, but I want to sort of focus this next video on the passive insufficiency. So let me move it a little bit better so we can get a better view. Okay, there we are. Now, because the test question was on a quad muscle, we're going to go ahead and represent that, okay? Now, put Sam over here. And what we're going to do with Sam is we're going to give him a rectus femoris. So the rectus femoris for Sam is going to be the yellow T-band. Okay? So, why don't you answer me? What's the origin and what is the insertion of the rectus femoris? While I prepare. Yeah? So if you said rectus femoris originates on the anterior inferior iliac spine, you're correct. And if you said that it inserts, better connection over there. If you said that it inserts in the tibiotuberosity via the quad tendon, then you are correct. It doesn't stop here. It crosses the knee and it goes to the tibiotuberosity. That is the insertion of the rectus femoris. Boom. Now, why did I choose? Look at my rectus femoris. It looks so cute. Let me lower this just a little bit. Five. All right. Now, oh my goodness. We ripped the muscle. All right, so now we have it at pretty tight, okay? And we have a description or a visual of what this looks like. And why did I do the rectus and not the other quad muscles is because the other quad muscles do not cross the hip. They stop right here, right? The rectus is the one that's crossing way down here, as you can see, and then it's crossing way up here, as you can see as well. The concept of passive insufficiency simply means whatever position I put this two joint muscle, that it stretches it to its maximum, will not allow me to stretch anymore. Because if I do, I'll tear it. So let me give you an example. If I don't stretch this part, if I flex this part, I want you to look at how slack it looks. Because I flexed the one joint that it crosses up here. Then, if I wanted to stretch it out, do whatever, thing keeps ripping, but, ooh, I put a patella there. There you go. Then I can go ahead and stretch it out, no problem, because one part of it is slack. See? The muscle is relaxed because the other part is relaxed. But if I took this, and let me turn Sam for a second here, and I pulled this, I already know that's going to stretch it out. But then I took Sam's up here, the hip portion, and I don't slack it, and I stretch it even too. Look what happens. It's tight now. And because our muscles are not tear bands, at some point it's going to go to the maximum that it can go. Because it has moved to its insufficiency. Oh, there it is. Or it'll rip. So it is passive because it's not the patient moving it. It's me moving it to where both joints are stretching out that muscle and putting it into a passive insufficiency. That's the concept. The question said, which position will cause the quads to be in a passive insufficiency? Well, I just showed you that. So first of all, the quads that is going to go into passive insufficiency is the rectus femoris. So it's not all four of them. Then if I'm trying to test somebody, there goes my muscle. If I'm trying to test somebody's knee flexion, and I'm trying to do a goniometry right here, but I am also stretching this portion, my knee will not bend any further because the antagonist of that motion, so the one that's in front, in this case is the quads, is going to a passive insufficiency. So if I even had more flexion on this knee, if I could flex any more, I won't be able to see it because I'm stretching this muscle into the two joints that it crosses. So if you're thinking, okay, well, then how can I get a true reading of what's happening here in the knee without making the rectus so tight, so insufficient that I can't get it any more flexed, is I need to slack, just like I did in that first motion. I need to slack the rectus, and then guess what? Look at that. I can bend the knee. Therefore, that is how the muscle that is in the front of a joint will affect how you can move that joint based on how many areas does the muscle that's on the opposite side crosses. And if it crosses two areas and I have both areas pulled to its maximum, I have reached an insufficiency. So when you're asked questions in regards to passive insufficiency, you have to think of which muscle are we talking about so that I can then choose to say, if I put this person, so let's talk about position. So if I'm testing this person laying down and I need to get knee flexion, it's going to be best that I don't extend the hip so that I can get a true knee flexion. Whereas if I put him in a prone position, I will be stretching out this end simply because of what the position is. And then when I get to this end, I'm going to get limited because the person is going to feel like that is going to happen. Like the very top end is going to tear. And therefore, that is how a passive insufficiency of a muscle will affect the position of manual muscle testing and goniometry.